You're listening to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast, presented by Forest and Sky, sponsored by Chops & Co. Public Market.
There we go. Heads up.
Stretch him up. Dead bird. Dead bird. Get it, Sky. Get it.
Good job, buddy. Flopping.
My soul hurts. It is April 9th, and it is freaking snowing.
I drove here in a whiteout.
What is going on? Michigan is drunk.
Well, April Fool's was last week.
Right? I walked in, I dropped the kids off at Awana tonight, and I talked to Curtis, who works at the bow shop someplace to shoot. And I was like, Curtis, is it deer season or turkey season coming up? I'm confused.
Yeah, it's really not right.
Hey, we're back, and guess who's back again. Bruce is back. Bruce, welcome back to the podcast.
It seems like it's been 2 weeks. It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks. I'm glad to have my co-pilot, my co-host back. Young Buck needs his old buck. So
Old Buck's glad to be here, brother.
Yeah. Well, tell us. I mentioned it last week on the podcast. You last week went to the ZZ Top concert. How was that?
Amazing. I've wanted to see ZZ Top for years. One of my bucket list things. I've seen a lot of shows over the years, but never seen them. And just my luck, Dusty Hill, their bass player, passed away like 2 years ago. And they got a guy filling in. He's phenomenal. And then 2 weeks before the show, Frank Beard, their amazing drummer, gets sick. And they got to use a fill-in. But Billy Gibbons, the front man for ZZ Top, killed it. And his guys, this bass player is amazing. And the drummer, you would have not known it wasn't Frank. He was playing Frank's set and all of it. So we sat 18 rows back, center stage. I was like 20 again. I didn't have a voice at the end of the night. They played every great song they ever turned out. It was an awesome show.
Well, when you're 90 years old, you drop like flies.
Well,
did they come rolling out in wheelchairs or what?
Dude, we pulled in the parking lot. I told Cindy, this is the first concert I've ever gone to where there was a mad dash for the handicap parking.
What cracks me about this show too, Bruce, tell the audience what time this concert was over.
Oh, it was done at 9:30. We were back in Jones, ready for bed at 10:20.
Yeah. It's not very often that a rock concert is done before 11.
No, and that included a 3-tune encore too.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. A lot of fun.
No, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time. Glad you guys were able to do it.
Thank you, because you were all part of it too. My kids, it was great. We loved it.
It was so fun. Shout out to Lindsay and the crew for I put an idea out there. And, of course, Lindsay, she just takes it and runs with it.
Yep.
And I love it.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Well, hey, if you haven't listened to the podcast before, we have 3 segments. Segment 1, we talk outdoors update, where Bruce and I just dive into the things that are kind of going on in our outdoors world. Segment 2 is kind of the meat of the podcast, where we talk about the topic that we want to talk about this week. And then segment 3, our favorite segment, we talk about the Lord and just what the Lord's doing in our life and what we're reading in Scripture. So let's start segment 1, outdoors update. We are about a week and a half away from turkey opener here in Michigan, and I am jacked. Super excited. Cameras are out. Cameras have been busy, and so it is coming quick. And I received an interesting email from the Michigan DNR this week. I bought my tags online. I used the Michigan DNR app on my phone. Go in, buy my licenses. When I was buying my turkey tag, I didn't do the whole draw thing. Just waited for a leftover license. I bought my fishing tags at the same time, my fishing license. And I got an email this week that said, thanks for buying the turkey e-tag, and this is what you need to do this year. And this is different. So listen, if you bought your turkey tag online, this is important for you to know. Make sure you open up the email and read it for yourself. Don't just trust my word, but this is a big deal. if you harvest a spring turkey this year and you have one of those e-tags, you need to report your harvest using the app as soon as you kill the bird. You cannot move or transport the bird until you e-report it. Now, here's the kicker, which this part I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest. It is up to you. It is your responsibility to attach some kind of tag identification to the bird with your e-tag number. So, for example, you might have to pack a roll of duct tape with you in your pack, wrap it around the leg of the turkey, and write in using a Sharpie your tag ID number before you move that bird. So
that is really strange. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I don't know if it's going to lead to guys poaching birds more. I don't really know how I feel about it. It's just different.
Yeah, it is. It's real different. I have no real issue with the whole e-reporting thing. Other states have done that kind of long before Michigan. Michigan's kind of behind, I feel like, on that. And we started it with deer a couple years ago. The state started requiring that. So I don't have a huge problem with that, but it does just seem a little odd to me, the whole requiring you to then tag the bird yourself. Like, if you're going to make me write an ID number on the bird, just mail me a tag and I will attach it to the bird.
Again, it's more cost savings.
Yeah.
See, if they're not generating that kind of stuff, I guess that's what drives it all.
So speaking of cost savings in the DNR, a couple interesting things hit the news the past couple weeks in regards to a potential proposal of a new bill for the state of Michigan. And one of those things, two, first, you buy a regular base license that you are required to purchase before any other tag. It will automatically come with 2 doe tags. That's a new thing. That's a proposal in the bill. What's your take on that?
I personally, I don't know about 2. I'm all for kind of the Indiana way of thinking. In a lot of their control zones, you have to kill a doe before you kill a buck. So I'm not anti that at all. I don't know about 2, but even in a lot of areas, 2 does it's nothing. You take 2 does and then a buck. Or I don't even know if it says you have to shoot 2 does. You get 2 doe tags.
Right.
I know a lot of guys that take doe tags and then never harvest them. Mm-hmm. They want to use them up. Well, that's long gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
They'll produce as many doe tags as they can in the season anymore. Automatically, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah. I don't have a huge problem with it either, I guess. More the merrier, make it more accessible for guys to shoot does. You and I have been kind of tripping on that for a while now. So that's not a huge problem. However, component number 2 that I want to bring up, I do have a huge problem with. And that is this. It must be like 4 or 5 years ago now, they banned baiting here in Michigan. And they banned it because they contributed baiting to spreading CWD. And so they wanted to get rid of baiting. Illegal. Natural food plots, fine. You want to put out a salt lick or put out a feeder? No. Serious fines, serious trouble. In this new bill, it is being proposed that baiting be legal again if you purchase a bait permit. $20 per bait site. Old Buck, thoughts?
Oh man, I don't even understand this one. Not in the least. Anyway, why don't we just donate $20 a year to them, for crying out loud? It's just a money grab. Is the way I see it. There's still guys out there doing it all the time. Anyway, they sell bait on every corner from here to Iron Mountain. Every gas station, convenience store has bait out. And a lot of guys quit baiting. I did. When they said no, I quit putting any kind of corn out or anything. And I never really hunted a lot of just corn piles. I was a big food plotter for years, and then I always tried to do that. And I would put corn out with cameras just to try to get better pictures. And I quit that. As soon as they said no, I'm not doing that. But I don't get it. They say that in the whole, for somebody that doesn't know, they say that the CWD, EHD, whatever. No, the CWD. They say nose-to-nose contact with deer spreads it, okay?
Yeah. The saliva.
Yeah, this is saliva. So they're all eating in the fields all the time anyway. You know, I was watching two yesterday, and they were kind of kissing out in the field for crying out loud. I was like, and no bait. So anyway,
Was it a buck and a doe or?
It was 2 does.
2025.
2025, baby. So I don't know. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of misinformation about a lot of that CWD. And it's not just Michigan. I got a buddy that's all over it down in Alabama right now too. Alabama's going through a real thing again with the whole CWD. They're claiming things that they can't prove, and so what? But anyway, I just think that the $20 fee is like, and is it $20? The permit gives you a bait pile?
Yes, $20 per bait pile.
Yeah. Which I guess is better than the guys I know that got busted up north. I didn't know them personally, but they got hit for like $5,000 a bait pile in fines.
Yeah.
And one camp had 7 piles out. One camp. So
Yeah, to me, this kind of proved the point of why everyone's angry with the DNR, where it's just like, all you care about is our money. You don't care about our actual hunting experience.
well, that was my reaction when we talked about it the other day.
Yeah.
I said I've always kind of tried to stick with the DNR, like, hey, they're trying to do a good job, and I've kind of tossed that idea right out the window. That they would even propose something like this to me is just a joke.
Yeah. Well, some more controversy. I sent you a video earlier this week. I saw, the hunting pages were kind of blowing up the feeds with this video, and it's a video of a guy addressing the board members of the Michigan DNR, and it's regarding the issue of the whole solar panel thing. If you don't know what we're talking about, basically the DNR is clearing trees on public land to put up solar panels, and it's this whole initiative, and that's a problem. I mean, they're destroying a natural resource that we, as the residents of Michigan, want to protect. And so, this guy goes up there and he addresses each board member by name, and he starts describing their residence and their property and what's on their property. You know what isn't on any of their properties?
Oh. Me.
Yeah.
Me.
Go ahead.
Solar panels.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, just the hypocrisy. It's just outrageous. And he also, he attacked one guy about some scams that his company has been involved in. And,
Flat told him he needed to resign.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that video and you either want to laugh and maybe get your blood boiling at the same time, just look that up. That's
pretty salty.
Yeah.
Pretty salty.
Interesting content right there.
For sure.
Well, hey, one other thing I want to talk about, I had the opportunity this past weekend to be a part of a control burn. We did it up at Willow Lake Sportsman's Club. I'm on the local fire department here, and we did a training. But Paul, the owner, he wanted to burn off all the fields. And, that's a good habitat thing. It's good to get, the old stuff burned off, create room for new growth. And that was a blast. Have you ever burned any fields?
Not on purpose? No, not in a controlled situation. I have not done that.
Yeah. Have you've seen it though, right?
Oh yeah, I know how they do it and why they do it and all that. I've just never participated in it.
Yeah, it's super cool stuff. I took my son with me. He's 3 years old, and he rode around on a fire truck, and he was just living his best life. I gave him a broom, and he would kind of put out some hot spots here and there. He just thought he was the real deal.
He come up to me. He's like, Bruce, and he rattled off whatever he did, and I didn't need my dad's help either. That was great.
Yeah. So, if you've never seen that, look that up on YouTube. It's pretty cool to watch. And it's good wildland firefighter training for us being on a local department. And, one of the things, though, if you're ever going to do that, make sure you check with your local authorities, notify them, ask their permission before you just light your field on fire. You want to know conditions. You want to make sure it's not too dry. And then you also want to make sure it's not too windy, because it can get out of control in a hurry. And for goodness sakes, people, there is technique behind this. If you don't know what back burning is, you burn the non-wind side and let that go, 10 yards-ish, and then burn the wind side. So when the wind side fire pushes and keeps going, there's not going to be anything left for it to burn. It will just run out of fuel and hit your wall. Okay, so make sure you do it the right way. Watch plenty of videos, study up. Just don't go outside and let your field on fire. I don't need more job security.
I may know a guy, friend of mine out west, will go unnamed, who lit up some fields and the wind changed like dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
He had to make a phone call.
He probably had to change his underwear too, right?
Oh, a couple times, I'm sure. Yeah, it got out of control pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's our outdoors update. Let's go to segment 2, and Bruce and I have some stories to share this week. If you remember a couple episodes ago, we hinted at it. Bruce has a story where he encountered a large cat, and then I have a story about a coyote. So let's kick off, and let's, Old Buck, dive into that cat story.
Okay, so my story goes all the way back to 1982 when we were living in Arizona. I had met a couple guys, and we did a lot of hunting together in the desert. I mean, from where we lived, I could drive east, and in 10 minutes, I was in wide open desert, and we'd hunt all kinds of stuff, quail and rabbits and whatever. So we had this crazy idea to go up into the Four Peaks Range, which you could see from our house in Apache Junction, go up in the mountains and go bear hunting. What a great idea. So I had a pretty cool custom van with sleeper quarters in it and stuff. So we take off, go up the mountain. So we're about halfway up, and we set up camp. And a rancher stopped by, and we were talking and told him what we were fixing to do the next day. We're going to pack and go up into the mountains and go bear hunting.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, if you go up this road, there's a draw that comes right out to the road. He said, you go up in that draw and up in that ways. He said, there's been a bear hassling my cattle. So score. I mean, we're all young, maybe not very smart.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys, Mike, was not in great shape. But anyway, off we go. Backpacks, 30-06s, away we go. And we hike all morning long, way up in this draw, and we get up on this big rock outcropping. And I mean, I wish I had pictures of it. It was absolutely cool. So we're looking like up this big draw. It's all rock mountain and trees down in the bottom, and the cattle graze down in the bottoms of these things all the time. It's just open range.
Yeah.
So we're on this intersection of like a T canyon. This canyon keeps going, the one we came up, and there's like a box canyon that goes off to the left, and it's pretty deep. So I get the idea that I'm going to go to the next point so that I can see farther up into this canyon, and we walked up. So I leave Mike and his brother-in-law, Bobby, sitting right there. Mike was huffing and puffing by now. He was not going much farther.
My kind of guy.
Yeah, it's your kind of guy. So I take off, and I skirt all the way to the back of this canyon, and it's all climbing rocks. I'm on one rock to another rock to another rock. I don't know how many snakes I scared up. And I don't know how deep it was. I'm going to say it was about a half mile to get back to the bend in this thing, and it comes back. So I start making my way back out, and I'm down from the top of this ridge. So where I left these guys, they're on the top of the ridge. It's below here. So this one's higher. So I kind of stayed parallel to their height, and I'm making my way out towards the point. And when I finally get back to where I can see them, I put my field glasses up, and Mike's got a rifle pointed at me.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, I'm like, no, this predates.
What'd you do to tick him off?
I have no clue. But I was just ride home. I kind of figured he wasn't going to,
Yeah.
So I make my way out, and, I stopped 2 or 3 times, and a couple more snakes after that, too. I'll never forget that. I get out where I'm parallel with them, but it's far too far away to talk. And we didn't have radios or cell phones or anything like that, Mm-hmm. So I glassed for a while, and I start making my way back. Now, I'm gone for a while. This is a couple hours. So I make my way back. Now we're thinking we gotta head back. So I get back over to where they're at, and I jump right in Mike's face. I'm like, dude, I'm like 3 times, 4 times I look up and you got a rifle pointed at me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that about? And he says, did you see that cat? And I went, cat? He goes, dude, from the first time we could pick you out coming up that side, above you, right at the crest of that, was a mountain lion. And that mountain lion wanted to come down. So you'd move out. He was coming down. He'd go back up. And then you'd move some more, and he'd try to come back down right in front of you. So anyway, I would move, and he'd try to come down. And they said he kept getting closer and closer and closer. And I had no clue whatsoever. Never heard anything, nothing. So just about the time I got to the end, he said, I almost shot. He said, that cat was so close to you, just above you on that hillside, that I was going to shoot.
That is crazy.
And he said, that's when you got out towards the end, and he figured he couldn't get out past you to get down, and he turned and went up over the top. We're on a roll tonight here. So anyway, I was like, cat, like mountain lion. He goes, dude, mountain lion. Full-blown mountain lion. I thought I was going to have to shoot to save your life.
That is absolutely wild.
So I was stalked by a cat that I never saw.
I mean, I think I would have just packed up my stuff and went home.
Well, we went cross-country from there to get back to the van. We knew where we were.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it got really good, was we left and went kind of quartered away from where I went up that box canyon. And we're going straight towards the van, which is down in a valley. And Mike was in pretty rough shape. And we got into this, like, wait a minute bush that was about chest deep. You could almost not walk through it.
Oh, my goodness.
And there was probably a quarter mile of it.
Oh.
At one point, he said, I'm just going to sleep here. I'm like, you are not going to sleep here.
Yeah.
So we actually, when we broke out of that and hit the crest of that ridge we were on, we could see the van, and I do have a picture somewhere. My silver van looks like a little toy, like a Matchbox car down in this valley. So we still have a long way to go, but we got out of that stuff.
Man. See, this is what I'm talking about, people. We have it good here in Michigan because there really aren't things that are hunting you while you're hunting something else.
Many rattlesnakes, cougars, bears, tarantulas.
But again, what started this whole conversation is the DNR did find mountain lion cubs
in the
state of Michigan, in the UP. And so who knows what the next 10, 15, 20 years are going to hold. But golly, I mean, that is just absolutely insane. And I can't imagine. I just wish you, like, I want to, when I go to heaven, I'm going to see, like, Lord, can I just put that one on replay? You know,
I want to see that one again.
Let's pull that one. Bruce told me this story. I want Mike's perspective of him watching that cat just follow you down the mountainside. Absolutely insane. My story isn't as intense as that one because mine did take place in Michigan. I got permission to hunt this new piece of property late during deer season. So this probably would have been late November. It was still gun season. Actually, I think it was December because I had my bow in my hand. So gun season was probably over. Bow season was still going on. I wanted to check out this new plot that I could hunt, and it was within walking distance of my house, but I could never, go on this piece of property. So I wanted to go just scope it out. What's the terrain like? Is there deer sign? What are, some good trees? You can maybe put a stand up. So there's about a foot of snow on the ground. And it's snowing pretty good that day. And I crossed the property line off of ours onto this new piece. And I have my phone in my hand. And I'm looking at Onyx on my phone. And just making sure I got property lines correct. And, just seeing where I'm at. And kind of, looking at the 3D view of it. And have you ever gotten that feeling where it is just like, it's so quiet. It's so calm. But you just have this feeling that something is looking at you. And I remember just like this overwhelming just feeling of like just something looking at me. And again, this is like, it is quiet because it's, snow is just piling down. It's winter. There's just no noise anywhere. And I look up and I have my bow in one hand and my phone in the other. And there's this coyote that looked big because he had, his winter coat on. It was a beautiful dog, but it was running right at me full sprint. And I did what any grown man would do. I dropped my phone in the snow. I pulled my bow back and I let out a girly scream. I was like, ah! And that coyote pumped its brakes and just kind of, and it stopped and it looked at me and I was like, I'm not messing with that crazy guy. It turned right around and ran away. Again, people, I grew up in the city, okay? So not a huge amount of experience in the outdoors. I have watched that movie with Liam Neeson where he's, fighting packs of wolves, and I'm thinking to myself, am I going to get circled by a pack of wolves here? Or is this coyote going to attack me? Is it going to kill me? So I think actually I pulled up my phone afterwards. I Googled, do coyotes eat humans? And there's like one super rare case out there, but, now I know coyotes are more scared of us than we are of them.
Absolutely.
So
that was something else that we ran across in Arizona a lot.
Coyotes.
We'd go down to this trailer park and park where these guys lived, and they would be in the trailer park every morning, raiding garbage cans and find, whatever they could do. We'd run them out every morning. We killed our fair share.
Nice. I've never killed one. I really want to. It's on my list. So actually, I take that back. I did kill one New Year's Eve with my car. Hit it right in the head. But anyways, that's the story. That's our segment 2. I titled that Scary Stuff, right? Obviously, I would say yours was way scarier than mine. So you win. Good job. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
We like to thank our sponsors, Chops & Co. Public Market. Chops & Co. specializes in locally grown, responsibly raised, high-quality pork products, direct from their farm to your table. Located in Jones, Michigan, give them a call at 269-244-1999.
All right, so let's dive into segment 3. We're entering in the Good Friday season, the Easter season, and I'm always challenged and reminded just by the crucifixion, by the resurrection, what that means to us in our faith. And one thing that I just want to kind of hone in on in this episode is the story of Peter when it comes to the crucifixion and the resurrection. We all know Peter. He is infamous for his denial of Christ. He denied Christ not once, not twice, but 3 times after Jesus warns him. I mean, Jesus lobbed up like, hey, Peter, don't do this. This is what's going to happen. And we talked, I think, a couple episodes ago about what did Peter do in the garden when Lord told him to, not fall asleep, but to pray and pray that you don't fall into temptation. Well, guess what Peter did? Fell asleep, fell into temptation, denied the Lord not once, not twice, but 3 times. And if you look at the scriptures and you look at the Greek word for what describes the type of fire that Peter is sitting around when he denies Christ 3 times, it describes it as a charcoal fire. And there's only one other time in scripture that it describes it as that charcoal fire, and that's in John chapter 21 when Jesus is sitting around the fire, and it describes it again as that charcoal fire, and it's setting the scene for the redemption story between Christ and Peter. And I absolutely just love this story because what happens here is Peter, after denying Christ 3 times, he was supposed to be like the rock on whom Christ is going to build his church on, right? Like he's supposed to be this big guy, this big disciple, one of, Jesus's best. And he gets absolutely just humbled and crushed. And what does he do when that happens? He goes back to what he knows. He goes back to his old profession before he was a disciple of Jesus. He goes back to fishing. And so he's on the boat fishing. And this man on the beach says, "Hey, Peter, throw your net on the other side." And he does. And he catches the fish, 153 of them. And then Peter looks and he recognizes who that man is, and that it's his Savior. And what is Peter's response in that moment? It isn't embarrassment. It isn't shame. It isn't, "Oh, I need to go the other way. I'm not worthy enough." No, he jumps off the boat and goes to Jesus as fast as he can. And he sits down and he has a conversation with Jesus one-on-one. And in that moment, Jesus redeems Peter. And I love that personally because I've always related to Peter, again, because it's the way I deny Christ in my life. I can deny Christ daily sometimes, and it's terrible. And I have a choice to make. I can either, take my ball, go home, be embarrassed, be ashamed, and just feel like I'm not good enough. There's nothing I'll ever do to please Christ, and so I just need to hide my face. Or I can understand that Jesus loves me, he desires a relationship with me, and he is sitting there with open arms saying, "Come back to me, lean on me." And just that idea of that redemption between Christ and Peter, it gives me chills.
Oh, it's an amazing story, man. It is, because that's something out of the word that we can so relate to. Just denial, in, like you said, on any given day, and most every day in some form. We stumble, miss an opportunity, deny it, whatever.
Oh yeah, look at something we're not supposed to be looking at.
Yeah.
Deny Christ.
Yeah.
Say something that way you shouldn't be saying. Deny Christ. Put ourselves above others. Denying Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot. The parameters are huge in your actions and what denying actually constitutes. So, yeah.
So, Bruce, as you hear just that story, what stands out to you?
Well, as you read further down there, from 15 on, again, Jesus, talking to Peter, he asks him, "Do you love me more than these, more than everybody else?" And he says, "Absolutely. Yes, Lord, you know I love you." And Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." And he said to him again, "Simon, Peter, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter said, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you. Tend my sheep." And he asked him again, third time, significance again. "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go." So the point being, feed the sheep, tend my sheep. That's the flock. That's fellow believers. That's bringing people into the fold of Christ. That's just getting the gospel out there, tending to people. And Peter did that for the rest of his life and was, subsequently crucified for it.
The same fear that Peter had that caused him to deny Christ, he ended up getting rid of that fear to the point where he himself was going to be crucified.
Yep. And what did he do? "You won't crucify me like you crucified my Lord." So they hung him upside down.
Right.
So I just think it's a great admonition from the word that, okay, you got the gospel, you're born again, the salvation story, tell it. Don't be fearful. I've said before on casts already that as I've gotten older, I'm very thankful for a boldness that I've gained just in dealing with people on a daily basis, not just in closed circles or at church or at camp or whatever. I'm doing my best to live out loud, which has kind of been my mantra for a long time. Feed my sheep, tend to them.
No, that's good. And I also just want to encourage the audience, don't live in that denial of Christ either. Just run to Jesus.
There's a There's a story that a friend who I love, Phil Ackley, immensely. He's a great Bible teacher, and he told a story of take a 1,000-day run and try to run as hard as you can away from God, as hard as you can for 1,000 days. And when you stop and realize how wrong that decision was and you turn around, Jesus is right in your face. He will not deny you. He will not leave you. He will not abandon you. I love that. I love that analogy. He is right in your face.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for listening to the podcast this week. As always, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. We want to keep this thing going. We want to keep building traction. Honestly, on Instagram, we are 3 followers away from 300. I would love to hit 300 this week. So if you're not following us on Instagram, go ahead and give us a follow. But if you have any questions or comments, email forest.sky.hunting@gmail.com, forest.sky.hunting@gmail.com, and we will catch you next week.